Okay, so this week also there is one assignment and one quiz, and the assignment go through chapter number 3 in your book, as well as all the lectures that we have covered so far, and the other things that I will be covering this week. Let's do. I believe we were somewhere over here. Does everyone recall that I was covering this relational operation? I think I covered uh, all of this, right? Does anyone recall? I believe that I stopped it, stopped over here for your chapter 2. Does anyone recall? Okay, so let's do this. I believe so. In terms of relational operators, like there are some kind of operations that we can write in Java where you can compare numbers, you can compare characters, strings, and other aspects. So generally, these are written. These relational operators are written when, for instance, you have a number and you want to check whether the number is equal to some other number. So you use the operation called double equals to compare if the two numbers are equal to each other. There is also inequality when you want to make a case where when the two numbers are not equal to each other. You can also check whether the number is greater than, less than, greater than, equal to, and less than equal to. And generally, all of these are written inside cases, which is like if else conditions. Conditions happen, for instance, a very simple condition is, for instance, if there is an umbrella, if there is rain outside, you will take the umbrella. Versus if there is no rain, you will not take the umbrella. So the condition over here is rain. So, for instance, when you are writing your program and you want to check a particular condition saying that if the number is equal to this particular number, then do this condition. So, let's suppose I want to create a rubric of this particular class. I can write down that if the sum of all the assignments that you have done is greater than equal to 60, then it means that you are pass. Otherwise, you are fail in in this specific in this specific class. So there is a condition. The condition over here is the number is greater than 60. So you can write all of these conditions inside if else condition, if else block. Otherwise, so generally when the conditions are written, like when you have to compare two numbers, two values, the resultant operation is a Boolean value, which is either true or false. So if I say that whether if there is rain, which means the condition would be true condition, then do a specific case. For instance, when I say that if the count value is double equals to 5, then in that case, the condition is true. If the count value is not equal to 5, then the condition becomes false. So always the resultant operation is a specific condition that you write. So let me just run certain programs so that you can understand what exactly if else conditions mean. And let me open my whiteboard as well. Okay, so as I mentioned, condition is something like I created a variable. Uh, I created a integer variable which is num variable, and I say int num equals to 10. So everyone knows this particular statement is that create a variable called num that will store the value as 10. So I have num, which is equal to 10 as soon as I write in our public static void main. Now let us suppose I want to check that whether number is greater than equal to 0, then do some specific task. So what I can do is I can write a condition where I will use this keyword called if, and inside this I want to check whether this num value is greater than 0, which in this case is true. 10 is greater than 0. Then if this condition is true, then do some specific things, whatever those specific things is, like print that yes, this case is passed, or just print that the condition is satisfied. Else, if that value is not equal to 0, sorry, not greater than 0, then do some specific values or statements. So here, the condition over here is that whether num is greater than equal to, let me change this color. Let's make it blue. So this condition over here will result in either true or false. The condition could be either true or it can be false. When the condition is true, then it will execute the statements which are written inside if condition. Always it is written inside curly bracket, and whenever you have a particular condition which is not satisfied in the if statement, you will execute some other block or statement. Always anything which is written inside the if statement needs to be written in round brackets. So the condition would be written in round brackets, and the statements that needs to be executed when this condition is satisfied would be written in curly bracket. So always remember that whenever you are executing or writing your conditions. So if this specific value, for instance, was my -1, let's suppose if I change this to -1, then this 10 value would be equal to -1, and whatever is written inside the if statement will not be executed, and it will directly jump towards else. So always the condition is checked first, and if the condition is true, if statement is executed. If the condition is false, then anything which is written inside the else condition else would be executed. So based on that condition, the block of statements are executed. I hope this makes sense. If questions, I can answer this. Otherwise, I'll write a simple program so that you can see. Let me create a new project. And this is September 30 program. And next, finish. Okay. Let me create a new class. And let's write if statement is my class. Public static void name. Not sure what's going on, but let's see. And let me rename this. Refractor rename, and let's see if statement. Okay. And here I will write a bunch of statements and conditions. So let's first create a class called if statement. And inside this, I will write my public static void main, and inside this string args, and inside this I will write now a bunch of statements and conditions if the conditions are satisfied. So here my first first statement that I'm writing is create a variable number whose value is equal to 10. Very simple statement. Everyone is aware what exactly happens over here. Now let's see. I check whether the number is, this number value is less than 0. If it is less than 0, then I want to write system.out.println and it will execute the number is negative. Okay. Otherwise, if this condition is not true, then I want to write some other statement, which means the number is positive. So you can write standalone if condition. You can write down both if and else condition. The very first example that I will be writing now would be without else condition. So which means that anything which is executed inside the condition, if this condition is not satisfied, the Java compiler will directly go to line number 7 because this block will not be executed if the condition becomes false. Here, the value of the number is 10. Is 10 less than 0, which means no, it is not less than 0. Then it means that anything which is written inside after 4, line number 4, which is line number 5 and 6, will not be executed and it will directly go to line number 7, which means here I can write system.out.println and then inside this I'll write the number is positive. Okay, so if I'll run this, it says the number is positive. Here I have not written the else condition. If I make this number to -1, can anyone tell me what would be the output? If the value of number is -1, what would be the value? What would be the output?
The number is negative.
What? Can you repeat it?
The number is negative.
Yes, here the value would be the number is negative because the condition is are the condition is satisfied. However, it also prints the number is positive. Can anyone guess that why exactly both the statements are executed? And can anyone tell me that if I do not want to run line number 7, what should I make changes in it? Anyone? If I do not want line number 7 not to be printed or executed, what change I should do in this program so that line number 7 does not get executed?
You need to make the condition true.
Condition true?
Yes. Because if it's false, it's going to run the else statement. If it's true, then we just run the if and skip the else.
Yeah, but right now I have not written else. I've just written if. There's no else condition.
So then change line 4.
No. So, that's why I wanted to talk about the else condition. So here in this, if I do not want line number 7 to be executed, then I have to include the condition which is else condition, which means now that if the number is less than 0, which in this case is less than 0, this statement block of statement would be executed. It will not go in the else condition. So it is kind of a branching. So everyone has seen like a trees, how exactly tree is. We have a tree. There are branches. There is one branch. There could be one branch which is over here, and there could be one branch which is over here. It's very rare case that these two branches are merged together, which means that if one branch is executed, it will never go to the next, the other branch. So if else condition also work like that. So if you have normal statements which are being executed, as soon as you write if condition, if the condition is satisfied, it will go to the branch of if statement, whatever is written inside the if block. And if the condition is not true, then in that case, it will go to the else condition. When you are writing just if statement, then in that case, so for instance, you have your normal execution, which is number equals to 10. Now, as soon as you check the condition value, which is equal to 10, then in that case, if the value is not right now, the statement that we are executing is whether the number is less than 0. If it is less than 0, then here in this case, it is a positive value. It is greater than 0, which means if I have a condition which is not satisfied. So if the condition is not satisfied, then in that case, it will execute anything which is written inside the if statement. Otherwise, it will go to the next statements of execution. However, if I write else condition, then the same execution will work like this. So number is equal to 10. And then you will have two branches, if branch and one is else branch. So either this part would be executed or this part would be executed. And whichever part is executed, then it will then merge to the main execution or the main program which is being executed. So if else work in two branches, if else versus only if statement will not have an else branch. It will not have another statement blocks which are being executed, and anything which is written outside the if condition would be executed. Does that make sense? Yeah, one way is that you can just comment it out. But is it making sense? Like what exactly is going on over here? And so I think this particular this particular program would make little bit sense. And if it doesn't, I'll give you some more examples. The program starts. So what's going on in this particular program? So let me rub all of this and let's see how exactly this. This also over here. Okay. I think everyone is able to see the screen. If it is not visible, I will zoom it in. So here, what is going on? And I will write down in terms of line numbers. So as soon as this particular program is written and you compile your code, line number, first of all, line number 1 would be executed, then line number 2 would be executed, then line number 3 would be executed, then line number 4 would be executed, which is the program starts here. So on your console, you will get an output which says the program starts here. And starts here. Okay. Now, as soon as the if condition is there, so in this, what will happen, as soon as the condition is there, it will branch it into an condition. So the main line of execution would be stopped and it will create another branch, which is another execution block. So line number 5, 6, and 7 will be executed if the condition of this number, which is great, whether if the number is less than 0. If that condition is not satisfied, then in that case, it will branch it out to line number 8 and 9 and 10. Okay. And as soon as these values are whatever is the condition, it depends upon the condition. So here the condition is whether the number is less than 0. So -1 is less than 0, which means our if statement would be executed. So the branch which is over here, 5, 6, 7 would be executed and it will print the number is negative. As soon as it will execute this, it will merge back to line number 11 and 12. So 5, 6, 7 gets executed and it will skip line number 8, 9, and 10 because we are not going to the other part of the branch. We are just going to 5, 6, 7. 5, 6, 7 is executed and directly it will now come back to 11 and 12 statement. So which says the program ends here. And this will be executed. Okay, I'll run this so that you can see. So the program starts here, the number is negative, the program ends here. What are the different conditions? What would it always lead to 0? The condition over here is just one condition that we are checking, which is whether the number is less than 0. You can write down any other condition. Let's suppose I want to say number is less than 10, number is less than 100, or any condition. You can write any condition. Right now, the condition was just 0. If I want to write down another condition, which is if the number is double equal to 0. So double equal to 0, which means whether the value of the number, which is -1, if it is double equal to 0, which means if it is equal to 0. If it is equal to 0, then write down the statements which are executed inside 5, 6, and 7. If it is not, then it should execute 8, 9, and 10. You can also write greater than equal to. You can write less than equal to. You can write, what were the other operations? Let me come back over here. So double equals to, not equal to, greater than, less than, greater than equal to, less than equal to. All these conditions can be written in your here. So here, not equal to, whether the number is not equal to 0. This exclamation mark is equal to not equal to, not this, not. If it is greater than equal to 0, if it is less than, all these conditions can be written inside the if condition. And whenever that condition is true, anything which is written inside the if block would be executed. Otherwise, the else block would be executed. If this 8, 9, and 10 is not there, else block is not there, then the same program would be executed in this manner. So you will have 1, 2, 3, 4, and only one branch is created, which is 5, 6, 7, and there is no else condition. There is no condition. As soon as if the fifth statement is true, then only 6 and 7 would be executed. Otherwise, it will directly come back to line number 9 and 10. The only difference between if and else condition works in this manner. If else, create 2 branches, and if will just create 1 branch. And if that branch is not true, it will directly go to line number 9 and 10. Any questions over here? Okay. Okay. So here, one more thing. Can anyone tell me the difference between when I say number and the number value, whatever is the number that we have taken? Let's suppose I have number value which is equal to 10. If I say number greater than equal to 15, or when I say number is greater than equal to 15, what's the difference between this statement and this statement? Can anyone tell me? When I just write greater than and when I say greater than equal to.
Greater than and equal to would include the 15 as well.
Yes. And greater than will not include 15. So it always make sure whenever you are writing conditions, make sure that when you are including equals to versus when you are not including equals to, the program would be like the output would be different. So let's write down, and I would ask you certain questions so that I understand that you are getting what I'm talking. So here, let's suppose I write down the condition which is number is 10, and then I have a condition which is if number is less than 10. So now can anyone tell me what would be the output in this specific when I run this program? Anyone, what would be the output?
It should just say the program ends here.
What about line number 4? Wouldn't it execute?
Oh, yeah, it'll also say that. It'll say the program starts here and the program ends here.
Yes. So the output over here would be the program starts here and program ends here. What about when I write down equals to condition? Then in that case, what would be the output?
It should also print the number is negative.
Yes. So this time the value is also equal to 10. So the condition is satisfied, which means this statement, line number 6, would also be executed. So as I mentioned, that always and always make sure that the way that you have written your conditions is totally dependent on that inside condition, that whatever you are writing. When I say not equal to, this is an operation which is first let's do this. When I include double equals to, what would be the output over here when I have written equal to 10?
Would the double equal actually turn the number back to a positive?
So here the value itself is positive, which is 10. So because the number is 10, right? So here when you are writing number equal to 10, what does that mean? You are checking whether the number is equal to 10. Is it true or it is not? A number, the value 10, isn't it equal to 10? You have number equals to 10. Can anyone tell me what would be the output here?
I'm just gonna guess. So what it sets start program here, and the number is equal to, and the program ends here.
No. It will execute whatever is inside, which is number is negative, right? This will print this inside. Whatever is written inside is equal, is the same number. What would be the output of this particular program? Anyone? The program starts here, the number is the same number, and the program ends here because the number value is equal to 10. So you are checking the condition. So you have initially created a variable whose number was equal to 10. So in your memory, your memory will have a number which is equal to 10. Now you are checking whether 10 is double equal to 10, which is true. The condition becomes true. So whatever is written inside the if statement would be executed, which in this case is the number is the same number. And as soon as this is executed, the output, your line number 8 would be executed. When I say not equal to, if number is not equal to 10, can anyone tell me here what would be the output? When I include an operation, this particular expression is not equal. Not. This means not. The program starts here and program ends here. So it will not execute which is inside because the number is equal to 10. So it depends upon the condition that you have written. Double equals to means you are checking if the two numbers are equal with each other. Not equal to, you are checking if the numbers are not equal to each other, which in this cases, it is equal to 10. And that is the reason line number 8 would be executed. So here you can, this particular condition, you can include multiple ways of condition that you are writing. There is also one important aspect. Whenever you are writing conditions, you will never write down if number equal to 10. Whenever you are checking conditions, it should be double equals to. When you are checking two values, whether it is equal to each other, then never make it equal, just a single equal. You have to make double equals to when you are checking if the two values are either equal to or not equal to each other. Not equal to would be this condition, equals to would be double equals to condition. Okay, does that would the number is negative? No, number is positive over here, which is 10. If the number was negative, then in that case, an output would be different. So here, let's suppose this is negative 10 and I am including not equal to 10. So now can anyone tell me what would be the output in this case? And let me change this inside. what would be the output?
Is it starts here and ends here? Does it skip the middle block?
Why will it skip?
Because it's not true automatically. Like,
But yeah, so it's this inside condition which you are checking if whether -10 is not equal to 10. This condition is true, right? -10 is not equal to 10. Right? These two numbers are not equal to each other. Which means the condition inside this becomes true. Right? Is it making sense? Okay. So here, this line number 5. Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, somebody was speaking.
Sorry about that. My thing was actually having a hard time, but I was curious why was it blocked again? And is it always blocked when it comes to like a different value when it's a person, like when it's negative, like -100, negative like 1,000? Would they always have it like a block that is executed?
I didn't understand your question completely. Can you elaborate more?
Yeah, so you actually gave us the number -10, and then I looked over, I was trying to do a little bit of research on it, and I noticed the number 7 is blocked. And it says at the bottom saying the program starts here and the block is executed. So my question is, how does the blocks become executed?
Because the condition that you are checking, this is -10, right? The number. So what exactly is going on in this code is initially you created a variable and you assigned the value of that number variable as -10. Line number 3. Line number 4, it will just print the program starts here. Now you are checking whether this value is not equal to 10, not equal. -10 is not equal to 10. Is that true or not?
That is true. It's not
Yes.
equal to 10.
Yes. So this if statement is true, this becomes true, which means anything which is written inside if block would be executed. So line number 5, 6, and 7 would be executed, which means this block is executed would be printed. Is it making sense?
Yes, that makes sense. Thank you.
Yeah, and then as soon as this is executed, your output would be the program ends here. Okay. So what I want you to do is maybe try one simple program and then only I will move forward because I think either let's do maybe this. Okay. I want you to try this specific program right now. And let's see if you can like write down this basic program. So what you are supposed to do is you have to ask the user one input value. And the input value would be any value which is between 1 to 50, 1 to 30. And let's just say you assign the value rather than just taking input. Now I want you to write down a condition when you will check that number, whatever is either that input value that either you are taking from the user or you have assigned the value, if it is equal to 30. So if your if the payday is 15, then it should be if the value that you are taking from the user is 15, then in that case the output would be today is a payday, get ready to spend. If the value is different than 15, then it should give the output as today is not a payday and you still need to wait 7 days. Does that make sense? So I want each one of you to write this specific program. And I will call anyone to share their screen. So make sure that you write down your program. Any questions in understanding this question? Kristen, have you written the program? Christian,
Yes.
have you written the program?
Not yet.
Okay. What about NCOG?
Yeah, I'm writing it.
Okay. Has anyone completed? Okay, I'll wait for 5 more minutes. Okay, Chad, have you completed?
No, I have not.
Okay, can you share your screen?
I don't know where to start on the.
So
I
you
don't
haven't
remember.
started yet?
No, I don't remember the questions that was asked.
Okay, Alexander,
I'm still working on it.
can you share your screen?
Like I'm still working on getting it to show how many days it is until payday.
And that's fine. I just want to see what exactly you have written so far. Are you sharing your screen, Alexander?
It says I am. Is it not showing up?
No. So on the bottom of the Zoom, you should see a share option. Okay. So next int, if today is payday and else, this is good start, but why exactly did you included this line number 12, 13, 14?
In the instructions it says that if the number is 23, it should say it's.
Oh, so
Sorry,
yeah,
let me
you
pull
were
it up.
also doing that. Okay, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is really good. Yeah, but you did not have to include that condition, which is like you are subtracting that inside the else if. You can just include, but this is good start. I was not expecting you to do this extra checking, but very good. Let's see. Christine, do you want to share your screen? Have you done? Christine,
What was that?
can you share your screen?
How do I do that?
On the bottom of the Zoom, there is a share option.
Hold on. There's a privacy thing on here. It's not letting me.
Okay,
It's it wants me to enter my password, but no one let me use Touch ID.
what about Kyla?
I can't share my screen because I'm doing Zoom off my phone.
Okay, what about Nicholas?
Yeah, I can share.
Okay, let me make you the co-host.
Can you see it?
Yeah, so you are taking the input and then you are checking this. Today is payday. The program ends here. Yeah, this is good. Perfect. Good. What about I will ask one more person. Michael.
Yes, I can share.
Okay. Okay, so you have checked. Yeah, this is perfectly fine. Yeah, this is fine too. Yeah, good. So let us go back to the program. Does anyone have a doubt or they are still working on the code? Rename this tractor rename payday hacker. Okay, and see, okay, over here, I have included two conditions over here just to make it and do not get stressed. And if you see that it's too overwhelming of the code, but here what we are doing is we are writing down multiple conditions in order to verify whether we have the conditions being satisfied or not. So the very first condition that we want to do is we are taking input from the user. So in order to take input from the user, you have to use the scanner class. Everyone knows that. Like every time we have to take input from the user, you will use the scanner class and you will create the scanner object. So here in this case, the example, the scanner object that we are creating is named as scanner. This could be any other one. In order for us to use the scanner object, we have to import the package, which in this case is import java.util.scanner. And inside this, what we are asking from the user is that, okay, give me and enter the number of the day of the month, which is between 1 to 30. So the very first condition we want to check is whether the condition is satisfied, whether the number is between 1 to 30, because randomly, any person who you are taking, even though you have included the condition, if if even though you have explicitly asked from the user that tell me the day of the month between 1 to 30, there could be a user which can input a value which is 31. Then in that case, what we have to do is we have to include a conditions to verify whether the person has input a valid number or not. So the very first step is that to verify whether the person has entered a value between 1 and 30. So for that, the very first condition that we have written is whether the input which you are taking from the user, which is day, if the number, that day value is between 1 to 30. So for that, the very first check is that the user inputs a number if that number is between 1 to 30. So there are several ways that you can write this condition. One condition is whether the number is greater than equal to 1. That is the first condition, but also whether the day value which the number with the user has input is less than equal to 30. So there are two conditions. We want to check if the number is greater than equal to 1 and whether the number which the user has entered is less than equal to 30. And I want to verify both of these conditions, both of these. If either of these conditions is true, then in that case, or let me just include one, let's do this. This particular operation is an OR operation. When you include two of these arrows, or what is it called? Two lines. Two lines is an OR. So I will write down this is, if you include something like this, this is not termed as an OR condition. Does anyone have an idea between OR and AND? OR and, have you heard? Logic gates.
Does AND mean they both have to be true, and OR means one?
One, yes.
Can, okay.
Yeah. Like logic gates and other things. So like OR means, so let's see. So when I am writing OR condition, so OR means, so two conditions if I have to verify at the same time. So condition 1 and condition 2. This is my condition 1 and this is my condition 2. If two conditions needs to be verified, either we can include an OR operation or an AND operation. This is an AND. And this is OR. So this is condition 1. This is condition 2. Two conditions, either both the condition needs to be true or one of the condition can be true. So OR means if either this condition is true or if this condition is true, just execute anything which is inside. When we say AND, which means both condition 1 and condition 2 needs to be true. So it depends upon the code that you are writing, whether you want to have multiple of the conditions being executed at the same time. You will include it either with the help of an OR operation or an AND operation. So here, the condition that we are checking is if day is less than 1 or day is greater than 30. This is an OR condition. So two conditions are being satisfied. Here, we are just checking whether the number is a valid number or not. One way to check the condition is, since we want to take input from the user, which in this case is the number should be between 1 to 30. One way to write that condition is that whether the input number which the user has entered is between it or if it is outside the range. If it is between, then it means everything is good. Or if it is outside, then in that case, the number is invalid. So the code that I have currently written is checking whether it is outside the range. Day is less than 1 and day is greater than 30. Two conditions. If any of these conditions is satisfied, then you will print invalid day entered. Please enter a day between 1 and 30. Two conditions separated using an OR operation. If I do not include this condition, then only one input, only one check I am satisfying or verifying, which is whether it is less than this specific range. I'm not verifying this if it is greater than 30, which means any numbers, if you have negative 1, negative 2, negative 30, then it will just check this specific value. If you input any number which is greater than 30, which could be 31, 32, it will not verify the other aspect. That is the reason if you have multiple conditions, you can include something like this. Or you can include this condition rather than writing this way. I can say if day is greater than 1 and an and or I can also say like or day is less than 30. Then the condition is true in this case. So I can say system dot out dot print and the condition the value that I want to enter is the number is valid. So two different ways of writing the same program. Here the condition or the verification that you are doing is if the number is valid, and this one is whether the number is invalid. If the number is invalid, then in that case, it should output invalid day entry. Day entered, please enter a day between 1 and 30. And then once again, you have to rerun the program and execute. If the number is valid, then in that case, you have certain conditions that you will be verifying. Here in the program, you were firstly checking with whether the user is entering a number which is equal to 15. So if it is equal to 15, it should output today is a payday, get ready to spend. Else, what it will do is it will verify and it will subtract 15 minus day. I believe Alexander wrote this code, right? Alexander, am I understanding it right? You wrote this code, something like this. You checked the condition.
I tried to at least.
Yeah. So you did a very wonderful job of what you were doing is that you are checking and you are subtracting 15 minus what day the person has entered in order to check what is the total number of days which are left before that person would get paid. The only thing that you had included was you had included inside else, if else condition, right? You included like if else, and then you included this kind of statement, right?
Yeah, I was working on what if the number is greater than or is less than 15, but I couldn't figure that part out.
Yeah, so do you understand line number 22 and 23, what we are doing over here? 22. We are, do you understand this specific line number 22?
Yes.
So we have created an additional variable. I don't think you were creating an additional variable. You were just subtracting from that input value, right? I believe so. So here, what we are doing is we created an additional variable, which is days until payday, and we are subtracting the input value which the user has inputted, and then it is checking another if else condition is included inside this. So do not get confused with this specific block. We have written multiple of these blocks to just create a branching process, and I will remove these statements so that you know what exactly is going on. So let's see. Here is my like execution, which will be executed. So line number 1, 3, 5, 6, 7, 8 would be executed as is. As soon as the person enters the input value, you are checking a condition, which is if condition, if the input value from the user is a valid number or not. If it is an invalid number, it will just print that invalid day entered, because the condition over here becomes true. So this inside value, if the person has entered a value greater than a specific or less than 1 in this case, this condition becomes true and it will output invalid day entered, and the program would be stopped over here. Otherwise, it will go to the else block, and inside the else block, it is verifying a set of statements, and the verification of the statements is something like this. So first is the first condition inside this is also you are checking whether the value, the person has entered a value which is equal to 15 or not. If it is equal to 15, then it should print today is a payday, get ready to spend. So this will be executed. If this condition is not true, then in that case, what you are doing is you are creating one more variable, which is days until payday, which you are subtracting of 15 minus whatever is the value which the user has entered. And if that value is coming out to be greater than 0, then in that case, it will print today is not a payday. You still need to wait, which is how many days, because the person can either enter a value which is greater than 15 or greater than less than 15. So if the person has entered, let's suppose 30. So it will do 15 minus 30. Then in that case, it becomes a negative number, and that is the reason it will give you an output, which is today is not a payday and you have already passed payday. If the user has entered a value which is below 15, which is, let's suppose 7. So it will do 15 minus 7, and then it will just output that specific value. And let's just make it to make it very easy. Let's suppose the person enters 10. So 15 minus 10, which becomes a value which is between 1 to 15, that specific range. Then in that case, the output would be that today is not a payday. You still need to wait for 5 days. Versus if it was equal to 15, then it will be today is a payday, get ready to spend. If any number which is not 15, it will go into this block and it will execute bunch of statements to check whether the value is greater than or less than 0. If it is greater than 0, then in that case, it will just output that how many days are left. So if you understand this particular program, we have written a simple program which is checking for a valid number. The first valid check is whether to check the number with the person who has entered a number is between 1 and 30. That's condition number 1. Once this is satisfied, then we are checking whether the value which the person has entered is 15 or not. If the value entered by the user is 15, then you will just say that the input value from the user is a valid day and today is a payday. If it is any value which is not 15, it can be any value which is between 1 to 14, or it could be any value between 15 to 30. So if it is less than 15, this specific condition, 15 minus 1, 15 minus 2, 15 minus and so on, 15 minus 14, it will just say that today is not a payday and you have to wait for that many days. If it is any value which is greater than 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21 till 30, which means it is coming outside. It becomes a negative number because 15 minus 16, 15 minus 17 all leads to a negative number. Then in that case, it will just print the output as today is not a payday, you have already passed payday. Does this particular code make sense? Or do you have any questions in understanding this specific code? Everyone understands this? Okay, so if everyone understands this, I would want you to do one more thing. Let's do this. Do you know what is a multiple? Multiple of 2, multiple of 3, multiple of 5. Do you know multiple? Or let's do one thing. I want you to write. I think this would be a little bit complicated currently, just understanding everyone where they are at. So I want you to take input from the user where the person enters any value between 1 to 100. So that's your condition that you want to check. If the input value is between 1 and 100, if it is, you will check the number. If it is between, you have to check whether the value is, if it is greater than 60, it should print that the user is passed. If it is less than 60, then it should print the user has not passed in this class. Okay, so you will take an input from the user. First verification is that you will check whether the input value is between 1 and 100. Then the next check you want to do is to check whether that value is greater than 60 or not. If it is greater than 60, then in that case, you would write the user is passed, versus when it is less than 60, it should print the user has not passed the class. So very simple program. I want you to write, but an additional condition over here is that that value is between this range, which is 1 to 100. And you are taking input from the user. And if you want to get ideas from this specific code, you can definitely look at this code and write down your program. Anyone has a question and understanding what exactly is going on in what code you have to write?
The code that we have to write is the number 100, right?
No, you have to check. So you have to take input from the user where you will check the condition that whether the person has entered a valid number between 1 to 100. If it is valid, then in that case, you will write an additional condition where you will check whether the input value is greater than 60 or not. When it is greater than 60, it should print that the user has passed the class. When it is less than 60, it should print the user has not passed the class. So the very first check you have to do is whether the number is a valid number between 1 to 100.
Okay, I just need to make sure on that. Unfortunately, Eclipse is still not working on my end, so is it alright if I just write down the notes and try my best?
Yeah, but yes, Lillian, right? You also need to
Yes.
speak with Dr. Griffith, as I mentioned, just to get an extra computer.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't have his email, but maybe I can get it after class. Thank you.
Yeah, I did send you an email, but I can resend it to you. David, do you understand the question?
Yes, ma'am, I understand.
Okay.
Is it okay if I can screenshot the question so I can actually write it down on a piece of paper?
Sorry, I did not write the question, but I can write it over here.
Okay, thank you.
I've written this. Write a program to take an input from the user. Check if the number is between 1 to 100. If it is between 1 to 100, check if the user has passed the class. If the input number is greater than 60, print the user has passed, else print the user has not passed the class. Has anyone completed the program?
I think I have it for the most part.
One second. Okay, Nicholas, right?
Yeah.
Okay, let me make you the I think you are co-host. Can you share?
Yeah, I got it.
Okay, so you have also included while. You know how exactly while works?
For the most part, I've done some things before. I just figured it'd be easy so you can like check for like a right input again and again without
Yeah.
having to like fully re-execute it.
Yes. So the next thing I will be covering would be while, but yeah. So you are checking the number whether it is, and you checked two conditions, whether the person is between the range which is 0 and 100, and if it is not, and that is the reason, it will just again and again take the input, and then you have put this condition after if the value is a valid value, which in this case is 60, and you are passing, else you are failing. Yeah, wonderful job, good job.
Thank you.
Anyone else has completed? Okay, so let's do one thing. If else conditions are slightly tricky and it would require a little bit of practice. And this is a practice that I want you to do it. I want you to do it at home. And before you do it, I also wanted to give you one specific example. Let me see. I think I should have it. Let's see. Okay, has anyone heard this? And let me share my screen. This particular operation, which is this percent sign. It's called as modulus. Does anyone know what exactly is this percent operation?
Doesn't it find like the multiples of like a
Yes.
number?
Yeah. So percent is an operation which will check the remainder value. So let's suppose if I input any, so when you divide, so let me give you one example. And this is a at-home exercise, and I will ask in the next class. For those of you, I want each one of you to try this specific code or program, and I will ask in the next class. So everyone know how to divide two numbers. So when I say 15 divided by 5, normally what you do is you will check if 5 is a multiple of 3. For that case, you will check whether 15 is divisible by 5. So 5 times 3 is 15 and the remainder value is 0. So in Java, if you have to verify if the two numbers are divisible to each other or if one number is a multiple of another number, you can do this modulus operation. So modulus operation, what exactly it does is, it will, here in this case, you are checking whether 15 is a multiple of 5, which is true, which we know that 5 times 3 is 15. So the way that you can write down in Java is, you can check 15 modulus 3 double equals to 0. Okay, so what it says is that divide 15 by 3, and if the remainder value, when you divide 15 by 3, if the remainder value is equal to 0, which means the condition is true, which means 15 is a divisible, is a multiple of 3. Let's suppose I pick any other number. Let's suppose 20. And let's pick the same number, which is 3. So when I say 20 modulus 3, this operation is termed as modulus. This is modulus. So what it says is, when you divide 20 by 3, whether this condition, if the remainder value is true or not. So our 6 times 3 is 18. And the remainder value is 2, right? And 2 cannot be divided by 3, which means 20 modulus 3 is equal to 2 in this case. Okay, when we divide two numbers. So modulus operation will give you the remainder value when you divide two numbers. So A modulus B is equal to R. R is the remainder value. A can take any number, B can take any number. So when, let's suppose the program that I want you to try and write down is, take an input from the user and check whether that input from the user is a multiple of 3, or if it is a multiple of 5, or if it is a multiple of 2. If any of these conditions is satisfied, then if, for instance, if it is like you have to write down 3 conditions over here, whether the input value from the user is, and I want you to try this specific example, take a screenshot of it. If you want to just take a picture of this, but I want you to try this specific program where you take an input from the user and the program should determine if the number is a multiple of 2, 3, and 5. So let's suppose if the person enters the value as 12, 12 is a multiple of 2, 12 is also a multiple of 3, but 12 is not a multiple of 5. So you have to write down 3 conditions, say here. Take the number, whatever is that number modulus 2 double equals to 0, then write the number is multiple of 2. Else if you can, or if you do not want to write else if, sorry, not else condition, you will write 3 if conditions. 3 if conditions back to back. If the number is a multiple of 2, then print the value is multiple of 2. Else, if else, if else, if else. 3 if else conditions you would be writing in your code to check whether the input value is a multiple of 2, 3, and 5. And the way you will be checking the multiple of these numbers is using this operation, as I mentioned, which is modulus operation. Take the input from the user and check whether that number modulus 2 is double equals to 0, or if it is double equals to, like when the number modulus 5 is double equal to 0, and number modulus 3 is double equal to 0. So 3 conditions you have to check, and whenever the condition is satisfied, the output should be the number is a multiple of that specific number that it is divisible by, and when it is not, it should give you that the number is not a multiple of that specific thing, which is 2, 3, and 5. So you have to write 3 if-else conditions using the operation which is modulus operation. Does that make sense? Any questions in understanding what exactly you are supposed to do? Okay, so I want you to practice this and do it for the next class, which is on Wednesday. And at least try this specific program, because this would be very helpful for you in understanding and writing down the codes. But I can stay on the call for next 10 minutes. If you have any questions, I can answer those, but this needs to be done for your Wednesday's class. And you will also get a practice of writing if else if you are still struggling in writing down the code. Okay. So I'll end the class, but if you have any question, I can answer it now.
Actually, I do have one question. Since we already covered chapter 1